Hey photographers, I want to show you the transformative power of lensing and posing when you're photographing curvy women. I get this all the time. Stop photographing stick figure models, photograph real people. Well, that's what I'm doing in this video. I'm going to photograph Victoria. She is absolutely stunning, definitely a curvy model, and loves that about herself.
And hey, since you're here, hit that subscribe button.
You are not going to believe the incredible difference it makes when we look at posing and lens choice, and stick around to the end where we'll also reveal some of the image editing tips that can help, and that is part of the craft of being a photographer. It's not about what's right and wrong, it's about what your client wants and your ability to deliver that. We're going to get started now, but I have to start off with talking to your subject, understanding your subject. No matter who you're photographing, stick figure models, families, women, men, anyone, it is important to capture the best version of your clients. You have to have an open conversation.
You want to tell me parts of your body that you love, that you want to show off?
Probably just normal things.
P&A?
Yeah.
Do not start photographing somebody without talking to them about what they like about themselves, what they want to accentuate, what they might prefer not to highlight, and what they might prefer to not show. This empowers your subject, it builds a connection, and leads to more natural, confident poses that your clients will love based on what they love about themselves. So have that conversation.
Oh, I like that one. I like that vibe. Yeah, that's
There
cool.
are lots of different posing techniques that emphasize the best features of our curvy models. If you want to emphasize a feature, bring it closer to the camera. Do they love their eyes? Then put their face closer to the camera. Do they love their hips? TNA, as I called it with Victoria. Then you know what? Accentuate them, show them, open that chest, and bring those features closer to the camera. It helps them stand out beautifully. Small adjustments can make a huge difference, especially when you're using wider angle lenses, which is another tip. I do not just photograph my curvy models with super compressed telephoto lenses. Why? Because that's not going to let me cheat a little bit with my posing, right? When I photograph with a 16mm, for example, which I have photographed Victoria a few times with a 16mm lens, it allows me to exaggerate the length of her legs. It allows me to push back maybe her chest, which she mentioned that she doesn't like looking top heavy. So I can exasperate that by using a wider angle lens that's going to show that depth and really distortion, but show it in my favor. So don't just use lenses that have a lot of compression and are traditional portrait lenses that's really limiting yourself when it comes to posing curvy women in a way that makes them look their best. A lot of people don't love their arms. They may love a lot of other curvy parts on the body, but want to not draw attention to their arms. One of the ways that you can do this, or any body part that they don't want to accentuate, just push it away from the camera. So if they have their hands on their hips, pushing the elbows back a little bit more. Maybe if it's their hips they don't like, then they lean on their back hip. But again, have that conversation, because if they want to accentuate their hips, then you're going to push those hips towards the camera. Even if every posing guide that you have ever listened to said to push the hips away from the camera, it's not about what's right and wrong. It's about what your client wants and your ability to deliver that. Another way to add elegance and length, especially with petite models like Victoria, who want to appear more elongated and a little bit taller and create a sense of length that can be incredibly flattering. Encourage anyone that you're photographing, whether curvy or not, to separate their body parts slightly to showcase their curves gracefully. For instance, if your subject is standing, maybe ask them to have one foot slightly forward or one leg slightly away from the other. It's just separating those two legs into two different body parts versus kind of combining them into one. Maybe when it comes to their arms, you're going to make sure you're not going to pancake it to their body. You're going to separate it from their body, and it does a couple of things. One, you're not pancaking it, is what it's called. So you're not actually making the arm by the position be larger. You're making it be more realistic to life when you pull it away from the body, but then you're also pulling it away from their waist, showing off the curve of their waist and anything else that you're doing with the hips or body to purposely sculpt a pose in a way that makes them look their best. Of course, you can do things like utilize props like a chair to add creativity and depth, and mess around with different types of poses. Play around with your angles, especially if you're using that wide angle lens. Those angles are going to to make a difference, and it's going to determine what it is that you are elongating with the distortion of that lens. And of course, there's lighting to sculpt and define the curves beautifully, maybe create a nice sharp jawline, or maybe do the opposite. Maybe they don't like their jawline as sharp as it is, and you want to flat light them to soften it out a little bit. So I hope I have unlocked a bunch of secrets to posing curvy women for you. Let's get into editing. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pull my photos into Lightroom. I like using Lightroom for the overall edit, not necessarily the retouching, although you could retouch in Lightroom, and I do have presets I'm going to use here. You can get those at presets.breatheyourpassion.com, link below, all that fun. But I love messing around when it comes to gel colors too. So just so many fun things that we can do. But if we're talking about posing curvy women, let's get into the retouching portion, which absolutely has a little bit of power when it comes to some flexibility and maybe fixing some of the poses you didn't quite nail while you were taking the photos. I'm editing here in one of my favorite programs, Evoto. I absolutely love them. It's the nicest way to edit portraitures. You know, I'm pulling all this out of my butt right now, because I'm just trying to talk about it. And if I can be super honest with you, I edit without talking. And then that's what you're seeing right now is the editing. And now I'm trying to remember how I edited what I did. Well, I mean, the things I did with Victoria, let's talk about what I can do. I can elongate her legs. I can thin out her waist and her arms all with a click of a button in Evoto. Now, again, make sure that you are having that conversation with your client. Do they want to be edited in this way? I know Victoria does, and she likes that, so I'm going to go ahead and do it. If they don't want to be edited this way, they don't want to be photoshopped essentially or AI contoured, then don't do it. Posing anyone, we really should have these conversations. But editing, you can do a whole ton, especially with Evoto AI, and Evoto AI lets you save a preset and then just apply it to absolutely everything. Of course, I can't do that because I'm just the kind of person that likes to edit things on my own and mess around with every little thing, but that's just me. Thanks so much for watching this video. Hit like, subscribe. Let me tell you about this video sponsor, Squarespace. I have been using Squarespace for probably over a decade. Squarespace is a platform where you can create beautiful custom websites in just a few minutes. Choose from a plethora of templates where you can easily plug and play your own work. It's an all-in-one platform for building your brand and growing your business online. We all know that an online presence is crucial for your brand, so build one that stands out. Head over to this link for my exclusive 10% discount on your first domain at Squarespace.